The best way to trade support and resistance is in your ability to identify the point of failure and point of reactions of the price action on your chart. If you can be able to identify this point of reaction of price, you will be able to trade support and resistance effectively. Now, by the application of the zigzag indicator, this indicator helps you to automatically mark your point of failure and your point of reactions. When we talk of reactions, these are these zones of reaction. This line you are seeing is the zigzag indicator. So this zigzag indicator helps you to mark out point of reactions. Remember, price action trading, which is the support and resistance, is about your ability to identify these zones. These zones of price action are basically identified by the aid of this zigzag indicator. So here is a typical point. For instance, this is a point of, here is our point of reactions of price. So you can see that price turned from here. Look at here again to another point of reaction. Here again is another point of reaction. Here again is another point of reactions. So you can see all of these zones where price reacted from. These are typical zones where you can take advantage of just by the aid of this indicator. So how exactly do we do this? For instance, in this scenario, we have seen these zones where this price reacts as identified by the zigzag indicator. This becomes our major zones where we'll be focusing on to take our trade. Remember, I said it's a zone and then not a line. So I won't just pick up a horizontal line and mark this way and say, yes, this is the zone that I want to trade on. But rather, I will treat all of these zones as a line. So what will I do? I will mark it up this way. For instance, here is a point of reaction. So I'm going to mark it up this way. So I have it marked up, just as you can see. Perfectly marked. You can see that. Here again is another one. Let me mark this. That is another zone, right? And I can extend this zone because it crosses more into this part. Look at this one. We'll have this. That is another zone. Now look at what happened. Price came into this zone. Price left this zone and pushed to the downside. So let's look at this. This zone is a resistance because price left here and pushed to the downside. Now when price return here, it is expected that price should retest it and continue to the downside because we are treating it as a resistance. But when price left this resistance, price came down, then price returned here. So now instead of price, this resistance to resist price to this downside, price break through to the upside. So you can see the break. And in the law of support and resistance, anytime price break a resistance zone, that zone automatically becomes a support zone by the validation of price retesting that particular area. So look at what happened. What was the next thing? Coming here now, price does what? Price come back, retest it. So immediately price retest this zone. Look at what happened. Price gave us, we now need a bullish confirmation candle. So here we have this bullish engulfing candle. Okay, so this bullish engulfing now validates our buy entry. You can see that this bullish engulfing now validates us to buy here. So we now bought, and then you see that our next target will be the next level of resistance, which is here. If you are a sniper trader, this pin bar should have been your entry. So obviously you can see what happened. The price left here, and then after buying, here should be our next take profit, because we have a previous resistance. We have an existing resistance in that zone, and again after that, remember, this has placed out, right? So again, price return back to what? To this previous resistance that we have marked. Do you see that? Price come to this resistance, give us another bearish engulfing candle. You see that rejection, and then price sold to the downside. Do you see that? Then when price come into these zones, price left here. We do not have any marked zone here, so we are just waiting. Price left here again and went into this level of resistance again, and in that resistance we have another bearish confirmation. That is where we now have this bearish pin bar. You can see this bearish pin bar here, and then that becomes our sell entry to the downside. Now price sold from there into this support zone. Remember, this is our support zone from this point of reaction. So now what are we expecting? This is current price action. So what do? We will now move to our 1 hour time frame. Let me move now to 1 hour time frame. Now look at what happened here. Automatically I have this price action. I have this candle that looks more like a doji, but with more of a bullish momentum. So what do? I am going to execute my buy order. So now I just place my trade. Place my trade, and my stop loss is going to be below the support zone. Do you see that? That is where your stop loss is meant to be. But now looking at this, we'll see that the stop loss is very, very big. So, and because of this stop loss too big for the account size, that is why you must be careful. You need to select the asset you trade wisely. You can trade assets that you will be able to withstand the level of your account size. Alright, so but that is the right place to put your stop loss. That is your stop loss. And then this is another zone. Remember, look at this zone here. This is another zone. So here is where I'll be targeting to be my take profit. Because price will come to this zone, there's a tendency that it will retest it and then continue back to the downside. So that is exactly how this works. And now look at this particular one. Even on a 1 hour time frame, you can mark the zones. Look at what happened now. Price came in, gave you a bearish engulfing candle, and it sold all the way to this point, right? This is another zone. Look at what happened. Price retest this zone and it bought to this point. So you can now leverage on all of this price reaction points, which are automatically marked out for you by the aid of this indicator. This indicator automatically helps you to mark out those zones, and you can now take advantage on each of these zones and see how it will improve your trading effectively. Here is another one. Look at this point. This is another point of reaction. You can see that it is as simple as that. And look at what happened when price tap into these zones. You can see how price change direction to the downside. So after that, here is our another next point of reaction. We have this zone. So the indicator will help you to identify each of these zones. Yours is to wait for price to come to those zones, and your ability to understand that this is a support, this is a resistance, right? So that will do a lot of advantage, will be a lot of advantage to you. Understand that this is a support and this is a resistance, and knowing too well that if price break, this is resistance, this is support, and knowing too well that if price break this resistance, automatically become a support, and you are expecting price to retest it, give you a bullish, so you can buy to the upside. That is how simple and the best way you can take advantage of this. Thank you for watching. If you are yet to subscribe to our channel, please do well to hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to get notified when we upload our next video. And please do not forget to give this video a like, share, and comment.